Hey everyone! This is Brian and Erica of The Bakers at www.thebakers.tv. Ah! And we're excited because we're here to talk to you tonight about something that could be causing you to grow apart as a couple. And something that we've noticed with us, and then steps that we took that helped create us to grow together as opposed to grow apart. And we're going to share what those steps are so you can implement them easily in your relationship. So we got a lot of positive feedback last time we did a live video, and we're really excited about it. So we are actually going to start doing this weekly, and each week we're going to cover a topic, and throughout the week we're going to be talking about it through our Facebook page, thebakers.tv, as well as on our website, which we're launching in January. It's exciting stuff. So we have a lot of things coming up. We're really pumped.
Yeah, 2017 is going to be good.
It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited to figure out how to serve you guys better and how to help you guys. So we got our camera here as a little off.
Speaking of which, while she's adjusting the camera there, we are doing this because of feedback. So if you like something that we are doing, or if you hate it, give us feedback. Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, if you hate it, then maybe not give us feedback. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, yep. Okay, I think we're ready to go.
Cool. So tonight we're going to talk about growing together. So when you start out your relationship, a lot of times you are anywhere from 16 to 30-ish, somewhere in that range. So from the time that you meet to the time that you grow your entire relationship together, a lot changes, especially in those early years. You figure out who you are and what you want to do, and you have kids, which some say changes things.
Just a little bit.
So you're going to change a lot, but one of the biggest keys that we have recognized, and we're going to chat about tonight, is that we're growing together. So a lot of changes are going to happen. There's going to be growth, hopefully, but making sure that both partners are growing and growing together.
Yeah. Something that we've noticed that the one thing that might be causing your relationship to grow apart as you guys are in a relationship over the long term is the fact that you might be on different trajectories in life, right? So you're in the middle of life and you're learning and you're growing, and some people inherently do this on their own. So maybe even being offered through their job. So they're becoming more aware of themselves, more knowledgeable in certain areas, and they're growing as a person. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, wait a second, you're not the person that I married. And it's because they're growing. And sometimes the reason that there's a disconnect in your relationship is because one person is growing and finding out more about themselves, becoming more comfortable with themselves, or just learning more about what they have to offer, and the other person is stagnant. So that's like the biggest thing that we've realized, that if you aren't growing together and building up your relationship, you're growing apart. So there's some ways that you can be intentional about that we've realized are, things that we've used, and it's been amazing. It's really helped just doing, one simple thing together. So that's what we were going to share with you guys.
Yeah. And a lot of times this falls in the lap of the guys. So gentlemen, I'm calling you out. A lot of times the ladies take off and they, have their careers and they're all sorts of growing, and then the guy is like super cool, fresh out of high school or college, and then 20 years later they still look like they just graduated college and haven't really grown to a new level. So yeah, guys, I'm calling you out. Step up. So there are a couple of ways that we can make this happen to make sure that we are both growing and growing together, because you don't want to be at this stage for your entire lives. That's why we're here, is to grow together and be in community to develop to new levels. So option one, not that you have to just pick one.
You can pick all of them, because we have.
Yes. So option one is to be mentored or discipled. So there was this Jesus fellow, and he kind of liked this stuff. So he had these 12 guys that just followed him around and watched what he did, because Jesus is like the greatest man ever. So everyone just kind of followed him around and recognized that he's at this level and I'm at this level. So how can I be more like him? How can I just be in everyday life what he is and do what he is doing?
Exactly. So if you can find someone to mentor you, disciple you, and be able to, bring you up and kind of see what you have to bring to the table and develop some areas in you, that would be huge. I can't tell you how much it's done for our lives just over the past 2 years, where we've gotten mentors and people who have taken us on as disciples, and we have been under their care, and they really do truly love and invest in us. And we've been fortunate enough to gain a few, actually, and it's been amazing. So that alone has helped us, and we both have our own, and then we also share one. We share custody of our Joe Woodruff. He is amazing. But so that's one way. And then the second way is through education, right? So doing this together, whatever topic it is, whatever is your push button thing, you can do together. That is amazing. So one way we've done this is through Audible books. I actually listen to 5-10 minutes on the road on my way to work, because I literally have zero spare time. Same with Brian, with having 3 kids, 3 and under, and so he'll listen to 5 or 10 minutes on the road on his way to school with Liam in the car, which is awesome that he's hearing this at such a young age. And I'm sure stuff is implanting before he even really realizes it in his subconscious. So we listen to 5-10 minutes of Audible books, whatever that might be. And then that way it's doing something during something that you normally don't, get any productivity out. So it's not instead of anything else. And then we talk about it, talk about what we learned, and talk about, just the different concepts that really stuck out to us. And it's really a good way. It doesn't mean, we have a heart war going on. It really doesn't mean that we, aren't spending time together when we're doing it together, but it's really nice that you can do whatever topic you want. So there are 2 books that we really recommend starting this out with, but you can also pick whatever Audible books you guys feel is something you're both interested in. The first one, I think, was one of our first really big decisions of intentionally doing it together, that we listened to on Audible, and it's The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it is just completely blows you away. Yeah. I know it doesn't sound super interesting. I don't know if any of those analytical, scientific, wanting to know why things happen people are out there, but this book is for you. This pretty much applies in anything: relationships, exercise, dieting, what else is it? Anything where there's a system, because your brain naturally wants to make a habit out of everything, because then it's less thinking that you have to do. Yes, Jerishai, that's awesome. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. This is an amazing book. It's literally changed everything. There's those books you're like, oh, that was a good read, but this changes everything that we, when we look at it, we're like, oh, that's why this is happening. Because our brains are trying to make it the easiest path. Like when you come home, your habit is to sit down, and then it tells you what the triggers are and how to change your triggers. And so we've actually been using this a lot when we talk about our communication between each other. It's been Jerusha. Okay. Sorry about that. And so it's been awesome. And then the second one we recommend is The Circle Maker by Mark Batterson. If you haven't read that book, it's amazing. She's like, oh my gosh, this Erica girl cannot get my name right. So it's The Circle Maker by Mark Batterson, and it is amazing. If you are one of faith, it is definitely life-changing to make sure that you pray intentionally, very specifically, which we've been doing about our business, about our lives, about our futures. And it's been really connecting to do that together and be on the same page. So that also makes you talk about, what you want your future to look like, what you want your lives to look like, which is really, really cool. So those are the 2 books that we recommend doing that with your husband. So, or a wife. Or it could be just a significant other. But so if you aren't growing together, you're probably growing apart. So you have to do something. Again, here's this word that we've been using, right? Intentional. You have to be intentional about it. Jen, the one thing is that might be causing you your relationship to grow apart is the fact that you're not growing together and being intentional about growing, like as in growing yourself in life. So one person might be growing themselves by, doing things at work, by educating themselves, things like that, and then the other person might not be doing that. So the disconnectedness of one person growing themselves and the other person not can actually make you turn around and be like, oh my gosh, who I'm married to? You're not the same person. Well, yeah, because they've been growing themselves. Intentionally or unintentionally, they have been through work or through their own efforts or just through their own interests. So if you can do that together, it not only prevents you from growing apart, but actually makes it so you guys can grow together. So,
and someone else asked a question. I missed it.
Yeah,
who asked it? But they asked what the first book was, and it was The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually going to post a link below. If you have an email address you've never used for Audible, you can get 2 free Audible books.
2?
Yeah, 2.
Nice.
2. So you can get 2 free Audible books. I'll post a link below for you after our live video. But to recap, babe, you want to recap?
Yes.
Okay.
So, you want to be growing together. So if one person is growing and the other person is not, you are growing apart. So make sure that you are both intentionally developing yourselves so that your relationship develops with it. So 2 different ways that you can do that. 1, be mentored / discipled. Find somebody that is at a higher level than you and a place in an area of life that you want to be better in, and figure out what they're doing, what's working for them, and just allow them to pour into your life in awesome ways. The other way is through education, which is a word that I am not super fond of, because when I think of education, I think of a lot of debt and a whole lot of homework. But by just making time for Audible books or podcasts or whatever you can use to implant new knowledge.
And it can be over anything, any type of new knowledge, right? So you and your spouse talk about it together. Be like, if your hubby has a hard time getting into it, then pick something that maybe is more tailored to him, and then he can come around, and then maybe you can pick the next one. So it's all about compromise, right, people?
Yes.
So that is what we wanted to bring to you guys. Make sure you were aware, something that we realized and wanted to change. So you are not alone in it if you feel like you're growing apart because someone's different than they were when you first married them. Odds are someone's growing and someone's not. So we're going to be talking about this for the next week on our Facebook page. Now we're going to open it up to questions. So if anyone has any questions, they can post down below. And we will give you about 5 minutes. And we have some questions that people have asked us that we can hold on to and see if anyone else has any questions. But it doesn't have to be about this topic. It can be about anything. It can be about our launch that's coming up in January. So, it's up to you, whatever you want to ask questions.
I know. As long as you're okay with us saying, I don't know.
Yes. Sometimes we won't know, and we might have to think about it or talk about it. But we would love to hear any questions that you guys have about this topic or any other relationship topic. We are definitely not pros, not been through it all, but we've been through a lot. a lot. So.
Ask away.
Yeah. One of the questions that I got yesterday was, while we're waiting, because I know it's a delay, was why did we start doing this? So, babe, do you want to answer that?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably.
You have to formulate it in there.
No, I have 40-minute answer, and I'll try to narrow it down to not 40 minutes. So the reason that we started this is because we always have had a passion to help people, to form community, to figure out what people's needs are in ways that we can develop that. So this is a need that we have definitely had in our relationship, is to have people help us in our marriage, in relationships in general. I think that God calls us to be in relationship. So beyond just your marriage, people that you work with, friends, there are always going to be relational issues and communication struggles and all sorts of things. So we've had amazing people that have poured into our lives and given us fantastic tools that have helped us. So it would be silly for us to just hold on to those. So we want to pass those along and serve other people through that.
Yeah, and we kind of started doing that as we were learning our own way, because Brian was a pastor for 5 years where we used to live in Bellefontaine, Ohio. And he did a lot of premarital counseling and marital counseling through that position there. And he loved it. And he has people asking him to do weddings all the time. And with that comes, 6 months minimum of counseling, premarital counseling. So we are not launching a counseling service. That is not our intent at all. Our intention is to be able to provide a couple with both viewpoints present, because a lot of the time when you go to someone and seeking help in your relationship, there's only one viewpoint, a man or a woman's, and I feel like there's a lot to say when it comes to having both viewpoints present to be able to help translate when one of the people are talking. So that helps a lot. We've seen a lot of great feedback when we do it together, and then also just being able to have you guys talk and ask questions to pull things out of you guys, because it isn't about us. It's about you. And so there are certain questions that we've learned how to ask when we are doing things together, when we're going through situations or we're running through hard times. There are certain questions to ask in certain types of things. So that's why we decided, like, hey, we can do this. We've been doing it. People have been paying us for about 4 years to be able to do this. Mostly Brian, but then he started bringing me in the loop, and just people loved. We got great feedback, great testimonials on it. That's essentially what we're doing. We have a question from Jen, and then we have a question from Dana. Jen asks, will you guys go and back and finish the Badass book with that group? Yes, we are finishing the Badass book. It'll be in January, February, once we're done with Jen Hatmaker's book, For the Love, which we're about halfway through, which I'm just doing with the girls. But we are going back to the You Are a Badass book, which is amazing, and it's not faith-based, but if you are faith-based like we are, it definitely, you can see how that ties into everything that she talks about. It's amazing. Dana asks, a lot of people say that if you need counseling, you're in a troubled relationship. How do you stay positive and believe that it can be a positive thing? That is a terrific question, Dana. I can give you a little background of where our relationship started, and then Brian can add in his 2 cents on that. So we were dating, we dated for 2 years before we got engaged, and our relationship completely looked like 2 bickering old people, but not in the cute way. So it's just kind of the way that we learned how to communicate, right? Like, we didn't know how else to communicate. So essentially every time something happened, I would feel not cared about. And so then I'd snip at him, and then he'd feel like he's stupid, so he'd snip at me. And then that's essentially how our communication worked, right? Which is not healthy. But I knew that I loved him. I knew that he was the one. He was a slow move on that side. And now sometimes I feel like he loves me more than I could ever love him. But
are you finally admitting it?
No. I did not just say that. But we had to seek out counseling. Let me tell you how many times, and I think that the stigma for counseling is a very negative thing. If you're having trouble in anything, isn't it what you're supposed to do is to go seek somebody who has, like, the knowledge to help you? Like, when you're having trouble in the classroom, you're supposed to go to your teacher, right? When you're having trouble at church, you go to your pastor, right? When you have trouble with your car, you go to a mechanic, right? Like, it's just, and sometimes we've done it. We've done preventative care, right? So just like a doctor, you take your body to the doctor. It kind of sounds weird. You take your body to the doctor to do checkups before anything's wrong, right? Just to make sure everything's going smooth, check in, that kind of deal. Why not do it for one of the most important, influential things you've ever experienced in your life, right? Because if this isn't going well, everything else is in the shitter, right? Like, yes. Seriously, everything else is affected by that. So why wouldn't you get help? That's not fair to you or your spouse, right? Or significant other. So it's okay. And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, if you're going to counseling, like your relationship's going... I can't even count how many times we sought help. And I don't even want to call it counseling anymore. It's seeking guidance, seeking help. We had pastors help us. We talked to other friends that had good relationships. But you always want to be careful about what voices you allow into your relationship or any part of your life for that matter. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure you're taking it from somewhere sound, because it could really mess things up if you don't. We've heard a lot of people have a lot of negative things that have happened because they allow the wrong voices. So you need to make sure you feel comfortable with where that person's at, where they're coming from, and the foundations that they have. Do you have anything to add to that counseling question? That was a great question. Great question, Dana.
So when I heard that question, this is probably a man thing, but I heard it saying, I don't want to admit that I have trouble. I don't want to admit that things aren't the way that they should be. And I don't want anybody to know about that. So,
valid.
I would say with part of what we bring to the table that's a little bit different is that it's not counseling, it's coaching.
Right.
So part of the answer is that this is across the gamut, whether your relationship is like a 9 out of 10 and you're like, man, I really want to see like a 9.5 at least this year. Mm-hmm. We just need this one area to get better. Or it could be that
everything's messed up.
That everything's messed up.
We've been there.
But you might not be able to admit that, and that's okay. We all have areas of our life that we want to get better. Mm-hmm. So a counselor you typically go to, like you don't go to your counselor and be like, hey, things are almost perfect, let's hang out. Mm-hmm. But with a coach, you do. A coach is there to say, hey, you're the best quarterback out there, but if you do this, your game's going to skyrocket. Mm-hmm. So just whatever tweaks we can make to help you get to that next level, that's what a coach is there for. Mm-hmm. Whether you have troubles or whether you want to admit that you have troubles or not, that's the difference with coaching, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So for those of you who have just joined us, we are taking questions. We've answered a couple great ones. One, Dana had asked us about if a lot of people say that if you need counseling, you're in a troubled relationship, and how do you stay positive and believe it can be a positive thing. So I'd say we're an example of that because we've gone through a lot, and we've gone to counselors preemptively because we knew that we were going through a hard time. We knew it could negatively affect our relationship if we didn't handle it properly. Like when Brian's dad got in an accident and was in the hospital for 3 months. We had just had our first son who was 4 weeks old when it happened, and we were basically living in Cleveland at my parents' house while we were trying to figure all that stuff out. And I was a first-time stay-at-home mom. So it was a lot of changing parts, a lot of moving parts. And so we went just to preemptively tackle it, and it helped. We only went a couple times, but it did help a lot. Mm-hmm. So anyone else have any other questions before we sign off for the night? We're just taking questions in regards to anything. Hey Jane. We're taking questions in regards to anything. So we just talked about one thing that you can avoid if you did not see it, to stop growing apart, and how to grow together instead. And now we're just answering questions. Yes, Jane, you got a slide. Yay, yay, yay. So anyone else have any questions? We love this. We've got some great feedback from our other live videos, so we're going to be doing this once a week. Thanks, Jane. She's like over there cheering us on. Okay. Were there any other questions that you've had people ask you?
Not that we haven't already answered.
Yeah, I've gotten quite a few questions this week. So we will be launching. Yes, please watch the replay. So if you are on replay, thank you for watching. If you guys joined us live, thank you for joining us live. We're going to be doing this once a week, different topic. And yeah, we're really excited. Launching in January. Yay! Our website will be officially no longer just a page where you can enter your email address. But if you want to be alerted when our first e-course comes out on how to fight fair, just put your email address, go to our website, and you can get alerted, and you actually get a $10 off coupon from our e-course. So that's pretty exciting. Jen, any other tips for those with happy and healthy marriages already? Well, that's great. First off, I'm really excited if you are asking for yourself that you are in that position. That is really good. I would consider our relationship happy and healthy as well. But there are always areas to improve, right? So some areas that we are improving on right now, I mean, even though we're happy and healthy, one is our sex life. So you won't be hearing us talk a ton about sex life stuff. I mean, we can help you as far as we've gotten, but that's an area that we struggle with. And so our mentors are actually helping us out with that. And we're also reading other books that can help us figure out how to break down the walls that are causing that. The big thing is that we figured out what causes it, right? We figured out what those walls or barriers are that causes that issue for us. So I consider us happy and healthy, but I feel like there's always those things that you're like, this could be a little better or whatnot. So I don't know if that answers your question, Jen, but I feel like there's always places to improve and be better.
Yeah. And a lot of it is couple specific, so we're more than happy to ask the questions and dig deeper to figure out what areas might need improvement and figure out how to help you do those things.
Yep. Jane, I hear you on the time aspect. You guys are doing the debt snowball. That's awesome. Working a ton. That's really, really great. We've done that before. Doing kind of a hybrid version of that right now. But the time aspect is a big one, right? So the best way we've found out, I mean, kind of give you our schedule, right? So we wake up, most mornings we try to work out before we wake up, and then head out the door. So usually that's like a 5:15 up, workout, shower, out the door. There's really no interacting during that time. And then I work full-time. Brian works almost full-time as a teacher. And so we don't see each other until I come home around 5:45, 6 o'clock. Dinner is happening in the process. The kids go down at like 6:30. So usually we don't get to sit down until 7:15, 7:30. Then we work on the business. Which I don't consider time together, even though it is working together. I don't consider it time together. Sometimes Brian will go and do dishes if it's something that I just need to do for the business.
I'm not good at making stuff pretty.
He's more the content guy. So he is doing that, and then we have to be, because of the health issues that Brian has, we have to be in bed by 9:15. So it doesn't lend itself to having a ton of time every night, right? Because there's so much of stuff that we need to get done. So we do have our weekends, but we also created a date night. So
once per week we, and this kind of answers Teresa's question there too, but once per week we set aside to where nothing else happens that night. And we just spend time together talking, grabbing coffee. It doesn't have to be expensive or even cost money if you have a gift card. Mm-hmm. Go wherever you have a gift card.
Yeah.
And just spend time together. Talk about the past, the reasons that you fell in love. Talk about the future and the things that you're excited about.
Which is what we did on Monday.
Yep.
That's part of my Christmas present, was to spend time together.
Yeah.
So we do every Thursday, except for this week we did Wednesday. But usually it's like one day. We don't schedule anything. So even if it's just an hour, be intentional about that 1 hour. Put your phone in a different room. Don't look at it. Don't work your business. Don't do anything else. No one else is important other than that person. And you'll realize, and even yourself will realize, hey, this person's putting me as a priority, especially with technology right now. If you can set everything out to the side and be like, look, you're my focus. You're the reason that I'm just being. Sometimes in this world, that's like the hardest thing to do, is just be present. but giving your gift of being present to somebody is huge. And it's telling them that you care about them and love them. So even if nothing gets said or nothing gets accomplished, just that alone, once a week, do it. Do it, do it, do it. No negotiations on it. That's something that stays in the calendar no matter what. We had to cancel plans with somebody because we had scheduled it on that, and we won't shift it around, because then that's showing that it's not a priority, right? So we just don't make any compromises about it. And yeah, I think that answers the question, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for your question, Therese. We have some people, we're doing live Facebook on our page as well as on my Facebook. So that's why you might not be seeing the questions. I'm trying to see. Okay, Jen says, I think I need to learn to speak his language a little bit better. Yeah, so there's two things about that. We're going to have a love languages quiz as well as some background information that will help you kind of handle your spouse. It's going to be really cute. And then the other thing is, I'm really excited about that one, and it's going to be free. The other thing is, that's what we're here for, right? If you cannot speak your spouse's language, we can help translate. Just call us the translators. So we're coaches and translators, right? And so I think that that's something else that we bring to the table, and that we can help figure out, not only do you have to use us permanently, right? Because that would be awful. Why would you want to do that? I mean, we're awesome people, right? But you need to be able to communicate together. So we will help you guys figure out how to communicate to each other. And once you start doing it, it's all about practice and making a habit, which is exactly why I think that habit book that we talked about earlier is crucial for any couple. Any couple. So.
Good stuff.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think unless anyone else has any questions anymore, we will be letting you guys go. But I really appreciate you staying on and asking tons of questions. That was awesome. We're really excited to see you guys every week and look forward to our posts. If you guys like this, please click, I think it's like a sign up now or something like that on your Facebook, because then you can sign up and get alerted quicker when we go live. So yeah, and go ahead and head over to our Facebook page. It's thebakers.tv. And it's all over my newsfeed if you're on my regular feed. And our website, www.thebakers.tv. If you enter your email address in, you get $10 off your first services that you purchase from us. We have our e-course and our live coaching via video launching in January. So it's here in the next couple weeks. So we love you guys. Love you, Therese. Thanks for joining us. Bye.